Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
And good morning. And today, Vincent can't be with us, but this is Norm Shealy, and I will be with you for the rest of the 2 hours. And you can be here, too, if you would like to give us a call. And meanwhile, I'm going to focus as much as one can on the number one important thing of being prepared. It is your mental attitude. Remember, everything in your life actually is ultimately the result of your attitude about everything. The basic attitude you need is, I'm okay. Now, if you don't feel okay about yourself, we'll talk about a lot of things you could do so that you feel okay. But the single most important thing is to look in the mirror and say, I love you because you're great. And if you don't feel that way, well, keep tuned so we can discuss how you will continue to feel great. And joining me today is my medical partner, Dr. Sergey Sorin. Good morning, Sergey.
Norm, great to talk to you again. Here for you.
Well,
good to be
obviously,
here.
Sergey and I believe and feel and act as if we have the right attitude. And if we don't, we change it. And,
Yep, we do.
you know, I've been that way all my life. It isn't that one can't change one's mind about something because we all learn and grow and develop. And it is very important if you do not really feel okay about yourself to say, okay, what's going on? Who helped me or gave me the hint that I was not okay? Now, what I like to say, number one, is unless you have murdered someone, raped someone, robbed someone, purposely harmed someone, you don't have anything to be upset over. There's nothing else that really matters enough that you should talk yourself down about it. On the other hand, are you producing in your everyday life what you want most to do, which is to help other people? And that doesn't have to be, you know, as a radio announcer or a farmer or a neurosurgeon or a physician in general. It has to do with anything you do with purpose and enjoyment and with the idea I'm doing this because it makes the lives of one or more other people worthwhile or better. And that's the bottom line. Now, you've heard me talk about it numerous times. At the foundation for me is something called autogenic training. Autogenic training has been around since 1912. There are over 17,000 scientific references about it and how beneficial it is. Students, athletes, business people, and everybody else benefits from practicing autogenic training. It retrains your automatic nervous system to put you in perfect condition to handle stress. It is the number one way to avoid getting stressed over minutia. And the autonomic nervous system runs your fight or flight mechanism. So you want to have it available when you need it for fight or flight and not working overtime over things that are not important. Now, there are other adjuncts, and Sergey is an expert in one aspect of it, which is sound. What do you want to say about that as a routine for the average person, Sergey?
Well, I'm going to start by saying that sound is one of the modalities that goes into self-regulation, or is applicable to self-regulation. There are so many others, and Norm, it's great to be there with you to work on all of those. But sound and this is how we describe this, is that we work with the mind and we work with the brain. Sound frequencies will support the brainwave states that are conducive, that will allow one to get into the desired states, such as relaxation, such as, and as you say very well, you're still doing things, but the attitude is, who the hell cares? In other words, you have a lot of stress or responsibility, or I'm running around in a busy emergency room and things are happening. Now I could be concerned about everything and that's happening that's out of my control, but guess what? I'm not going to do myself or anybody else any service by being distracted, by being stressed unnecessarily. My best bet is just to stay focused, stay in the present, and that's another thing that Norm is very, very strongly focused on, and so am I. And just getting things done, smiling, enjoying the moment, and just being present. Now, sound with frequencies can also support multiple other states, from relaxation to sleep to focus to peak performance states. But again, it's just one of the modalities that goes into self-regulation, and I can talk more about that, but there's certainly a bigger picture. Norm, back to you.
Well, what aspect of sound? I mean, I started way back when I first started even doing auditing training, coupling it with what I would consider a good, relaxing background music. And then in the later 70s, I did use HemiSync as part of that. But there are other modulations, if you will, of sound that can reinforce the effect. Remember, your brain functions in rhythm, speed, so many cycles per second. And if you're paying attention and thinking about what we're seeing at this moment, then you're probably in really what's called beta, and that is 13 to 30 cycles per second. That's the learning alertness state. And when you go below that, 8 to 12 cycles, you're in alpha, which is just very pleasant relaxation. And you go below that, you're in theta, which is 4 to 7 cycles. And that's the place where creativity and daydreaming can occur. And when you go below that to delta, 1 to 3 cycles, then most people fall asleep. And so giving those frequencies in light or sound can assist the brain in reaching that state. But the one that I learned most about this year was SAM, or modulation,
Gamma.
Signal modulation amplitude. I don't fully understand the words yet.
Well, let me...
the most profound in changing mind-body thinking.
It certainly is powerful, Norm. It's tremendous. It's actually the actual words, as people say different ways, but the spatial angle modulation. And basically, you can think of it, the technology behind that one in particular is that think of a sound located, let's say, right in front of you. The sound is basically compression, and in other words, sound waves is just the wave gets compressed and decompressed and compressed and decompressed and so on and so forth as it moves forward. Now, if it's right in front of you, it's going to reach the ears, let's say, at the same time. So that will be perceived as being in front of you. If it's often at an angle, it reaches the ears at different times, and different ears, well, the left and right ear, humans have 2 ears, from what I am still aware, will actually interpret and make use of the difference in frequencies in really spectacular ways if the frequencies that are supplied are designed to the effect. And yes, the effect of the gamma frequencies is absolutely amazing. Glad you talked about the delta through beta. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. This is what we do workshops in sound, and these are what we talk about, languages of the brain. they really are languages of the brain. If you want to talk the language of sleep, you really want to be, you're talking delta. If you want to talk the language of relaxation, alpha. If you want to talk about the language of the limbic system, the memory, the emotion, you're in theta. And if you want to talk about the language of alert, awake, that's beta. And then, of course, there's gamma that we're talking about. And gamma is the extraordinary states. And both Norm and I have experienced absolutely tremendous results. And it goes far beyond the ordinary human daily experiences, to say the least.
There's so many roads to Rome, and there's so many roads to balance and harmony and relaxation and self-regulation. Autogenic training being the one that I most began with back in 1972. But, the interesting thing is that your belief system can affect all of these, and the so-called placebo effect is one of the most important. So depending upon who is doing the research, so to speak, the placebo effect has been known in certain situations where the person doing the research is highly enthusiastic to reach 90%. There's not a drug in the world that can reach 90%. Enough arsenic will indeed kill you, enough cyanide indeed will kill you. But in general, there's no drug that has, actually, I don't know any drug that even hits 70% unequivocal efficacy. Do you, Sergey?
No, absolutely not. And there is nothing, there's nothing that's less than remarkable, or let me just not use double negatives. It's the placebo effect or the power of the mind is absolutely amazing. It's the direction, it's the intention. And, I've heard the word emotion, energy in motion, and everything is energy. And as you say, everything is related to everything. If you steer the ship in the right direction, it'll go there, it'll get there eventually. If you steer it in the wrong direction, no matter what it is that you do, you're not going to get to your destination. So if your goal is health, happiness, then this is one of the ways to go. It's the way to go.
Now, let's just briefly discuss some of these individual things that people can do for themselves. Autogenic training is one of them. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My heartbeat's calm and regular. My breathing's free and easy. My abdomen's warm. My forehead's cool. My mind is quiet and still. Now, you do that slowly. When you're learning it, you do it over 18 or 20 minutes. Eventually, you get down where you can do it in 3 to 5 minutes and achieve the same deep state of balanced relaxation. Various kinds of music and sound are adjuncts. And then, way back in 1988-89, I did my first really, to me, far-out research looking at the ability of quartz crystal to amplify your thinking. And I was asked by the creator of hydraulic brakes and hydraulic steering to see whether crystals could have any benefit on health. And I did a study in which we gave 100 people quartz crystal and 100 glass, which has no piezoelectric or electro-modifying, if you will, ability. And the quartz kept 70% of people out of depression, whereas the glass only did 28%, slightly weak placebo. A strong placebo would be 35%. And I'm hearing some voice in the background. Are you hearing that, Sergey?
Yes.
These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
The best kept secret in the firearms business is CDNNsports.com. CDNN Sports is the largest firearms liquidator in the U.S. We've got optics, accessories, gun parts, magazines, ammunition, and more. Sign up for our email specials today for the best gun deals, period. You will also be entered to win a Winchester 101 field shotgun. Go to Charlie, Delta, Novembersports.com. That's CDNNsports.com.
My name is Don Wiskin, and at 42 years old, I suffered a massive heart attack and was told I'd be on disability for the rest of my life. What did I do? I created Extendivite, a garlic and cayenne mix of 7 herbs which rebuilt my heart and gave me back my life. For over 17 years now, I have made this formula available to you so you don't have to suffer the same thing I did. Clean your blocked arteries and strengthen your heart and boost your natural immune system. I'm 60 years old now and I still work every day. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Attention backpackers on a budget. Why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viva Water Pump Kit from Viva Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viva Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99. Filter not included. Get your Viva Water Pump Kit at VIBA-ODP.com from Viva Outdoor Products.
And it looks as if we are back with you. And we are talking about how you can self-regulate, how you can amplify your attitude, your mind's ability to help you function. Now, you want to be careful that you don't ignore important things. But we have demonstrated with crushed sapphire that you can indeed change, symptoms. We gave 16 people either sand or crushed sapphire. 10 got the crushed sapphire, 6 got the sand. And we looked at total symptoms as well as depression and anxiety symptoms. Interestingly, this group of people had a lot of symptoms, but those who got sapphire decreased all of their symptoms 62%. Now, because this group of people knew me, I'm not a stranger, the placebo effect was 50% in that case. From the other
you are the yeah, I was going to say, you are the placebo. You're the strongest placebo that I know.
Right. Now, all of a sudden, Sergey, your voice is cracking up. Are you okay?
Maybe the reception, but what I was saying is that of all the people that I know, you are the strongest placebo that I know for basically most things.
Right. Well, at any rate, but for anxiety and depression, symptoms decreased 93% in those who got the crushed sapphire, whereas only 50% in those who got sand. So again, a high placebo effect because the people knew me. It would have been different with a stranger. We're going to do a study next on whether or not wearing a crushed sapphire pouch can improve high blood pressure. Now, I can't, in that situation, since I just want to find the effect on hypertension, where drugs suck. Drugs are hardly better than placebo. At best, a single drug has about a 40% chance of helping your blood pressure. Get up to 3, you got about 45% success. So we take people who are not on antihypertensive drugs and give them the crushed sapphire pouch, program it for normal blood pressure, and see if that will work. That would be a fabulous contribution. We know already that it helps depression and anxiety, but we don't know how far it can go beyond that. I'm also going to do it on pain, And those will have to be people that I know so I can, monitor what's going on pain-wise. But again, the most important thing for determining your health in all situations, so-called normal, which is chaotic to start with, and crisis, which is why we stay prepared, you want to be prepared mentally. So, although I recommend that everyone have at least a CD or MP3 of autogenic training, from a sound point of view, is there one universal one you would recommend, Sergey?
Well, I'm looking forward to the autogenic training with binaural beats or with always frequencies. I mean, that will be probably one of the most important contributions that we'll make in terms of sound technology, in my mind. And of course, depending on what it is, the purpose. For example, for relaxation, there are certain titles that I can recommend for pain, for anxiety, for depression, for simply enjoying the moment, for being present, for being in the meditative state. I think we'd have to go into more detail when it comes to specific titles. There's not one that is ideal for absolutely everything, although they do serve the purpose for many things.
Right. No question about it. And then this then determines how much you decide to keep prepared mentally as well as physically. I mean, what are the things that you want to have in case of a serious emergency? Well, obviously, water is near the top of my list. Suppose that you live in a city. Yes.
I think the music is starting to play.
Okay. It's odd that I can't hear the music today. I guess that's telling me, I guess I can hear the music, I'm just not hearing anything else.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Has your body ever gone low blood sugar, feeling weak, shaky, knowing you better eat something fast? We all know high blood sugar can lead to many metabolic problems. At GCNteam.com, we have a healthy blood sugar pack, focusing on the structure and function of stable blood sugar. Find us at GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. Nothing feels worse than unstable blood sugar. Call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Hi, this is Ron Paul. I'm a former 22-year congressman and Republican presidential candidate. I'm here to tell you about something that just might save your lives. You never know when there will be another Katrina, an economic collapse, or a serious drought. We should all have a little food storage that will carry us through tough times. I'm going to tell you about a great way to do that. A U.S. company named Harvest Right has a kitchen appliance that can help you be prepared. It's a home freeze dryer. With the product, you can preserve the foods your family loves. And the best part is the food will last 25 years and still taste great. I've tried it and it's amazing. With a home freeze dryer from Harvest Right, you can literally freeze dry anything you eat, even things like ice cream. To learn more, call Harvest Right today at 800-594-4635 or go to harvestright.com. That's 800-594-4635 or harvestright.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA-certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
And it's Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin with you today, and we're talking about being prepared. And at the top of the list is your mental attitude and keeping yourself well prepared. And beyond that, well, the next important thing is water. Depending upon where you live and how much space you've got, I would like to have as much safe water stored as anything. That's more important even than food. And obviously food is the next one of those. And having some kind of power supply at home, batteries for flashlights or whatever, equally important. And what would be the best way to keep your access to sound, auditory training, and things like that, Sergey? Is that a CD player today, or what else would be the most important way to have something you can listen to?
Well, I'd say at this point you've got MP3s, you've got downloads, it's iPods, iPads, computers. It's just absolutely so many options, and they all work. Of course, the most effective is through, for the sound technologies, through the binaural beats, or in other words, to have it on both ears, headphones, preferably noise-canceling ones. But I've seen effect with simply having just the radio. Now, of course, there's recommended preferences, but it depends on who is listening, depends on what your circumstances are, and so many other considerations. Now, I would like to also come back to. Now, by the way, Norm, is that just me, or is there a bit of a sound that's coming through as well? I was almost going to say binaurals, but it's the frequency is a little bit slower than what we're used to.
I think we're getting triaurals at the moment.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Now, we'll certainly talk about the sound and the applications, but I did want to, I will talk about that basically 24/7 for for years. I mean, literally. I mean, I've got more things to talk about that than I can, than time would allow. But here's the thing, I want to touch base on something that you mentioned before. And let's come back to the fact that, everything is related to everything, including health. So now you mentioned previously, and you have mentioned on multiple occasions, that if the crushed sapphire through the piezoelectric effect, did I say it right? Piezo or piezoelectric? How do you...
Well, it's piezoelectric as far as I could tell from the dictionary.
Piezoelectric. That's so the piezoelectric effect actually accounts for the transmission of energy and the frequencies and vibrations. Speaking of frequencies and vibration, and it affects. We already demonstrated that it works in depression. Now, I want to say something in regard to depression and blood pressure, as well as other medical conditions. I have recently finished a stretch of emergency room shifts, and I still work in the emergency room actively. And without pointing out any specific individual, I see depression and anxiety as intimately linked to pretty much all the other chronic conditions. And that's not a surprise to me. Now, you've been studying this and working with us here for over 4 decades. So would you like to say a few things about that?
Well, I agree. I think the foundation for illness is anxiety. And anxiety is fear. And the number one fear in the world is abandonment. The more people fear loss of love or abandonment by other people than all other things combined. And when you are afraid, it should make you angry, because the normal reaction, if something is threatening you, is to fight back if you can. And so fear leads to anger, but a feeling that you can't deal with it leads to anxiety. And of course, sometimes when you are afraid and fearful and anxious about something you've done, you feel guilty. And the big one, of course, then is feel you have no control whatsoever, and that's depression. So really, all diseases are disturbances in the autonomic nervous system that lead to specific organ dysfunctions. And there are a lot of metaphysical discussions about different organs and what they mean. We can say beyond any reasonable doubt that in general, cancer is very strongly related to both depression to a great extent and anxiety to a moderate extent. Heart disease, especially the common cause of death, coronary artery disease, is highly related to anger and secondarily to depression, but anxiety also plays a part of it. So they all interact to create dysfunction in a given organ. And that brings us to one of the most interesting aspects of it. In my opinion, your body and mind are programmed with strengths and weaknesses that come from genetics and, thousands of years of genetic background, but also your personal historical experience in living multiple lives. And that brings us to something which I understand that flaming fundamentalists don't understand and accept, but reincarnation. And it's my experience, every serious physical and or emotional problem appears to be triggered by something that brings up a memory that's not known in this life from a previous incarnation. In other words, if you allow the person's mind to take them back to a previous life that has influence, it will give us the key to what's going on in the present life. Sounds complex. Actually, it's very simple. I've done hundreds of them. And almost inevitably, we can let the person, I just say, go back to the most important past life for you. and they will go back to one that gives a strong hint that their current physical or emotional problem is a hangover from a life lived in the past. And we've all done that. As far as I can tell, we've all lived probably hundreds of lives throughout the last many thousands of years that people have been roaming on the earth. And whether your belief system is tested or not isn't, it's your right to make that decision, but it's something worth looking into. I think anyone who has a problem that won't go away, that can't be satisfactorily treated, needs to look into the possibility of a past life regression to help them solve that. Now, you can solve it with other techniques. There are many ways to roam, but this is just one of the great ways of thinking that can allow you to heal yourself. And sometimes it can happen spontaneously. For instance, the most important case I think I've ever seen was a woman who was literally dying of metastatic breast cancer. I mean, it was all over her body. And I did a 20-minute exercise with a group of patients in which she was participating on forgiveness. It had nothing to do with past life. And this woman who had not been walking for the past couple of months got up and walked out of the room, free of pain. 3 months later, her cancer was gone, never to return. And then, a year and a half later, when I saw her again, she told me that during that exercise, she suddenly realized how much she hated her family, and she decided, quote, "I'm not going to let the bastards kill me." Not what I call perfect insight, but it got her well. And her husband committed suicide. So, our minds are the most powerful tool we have available to us in every aspect of our life.
Norm, I remember you mentioned you talk about another story. There is a young lady who identified during a past life therapy a life of Anne Boleyn, or with her head being cut off. And would you like to mention that as well? Or?
Yeah, that was one of my very early ones. This is a woman in her late 20s, came in paralyzed from the waist down, and had a lot of pain. And so I did a regression, and she gave a history that to me sounded like a textbook of being Anne Boleyn, one of Henry VIII's wives whom he had murdered. And she actually stopped when she saw her head roll after the guillotine. Well, interestingly, of the hundreds that I've done, she's the only one who's ever been amnesic for what she had said. And fortunately, I had recorded it, so I played it back, and I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" And she started crying, said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, I know. You just told me that you think your husband shot you." She told me when she came in that she shot herself accidentally while cleaning her husband's gun. He was a policeman. And then she says, "Well, the last thing I remember, we were having an argument, and I was told when I woke up that I'd shot myself." So she actually divorced her husband, and her pain was gone, her physical pain from the injury. The paralysis did not go away, but at least the pain did. So, again, these are striking examples of how much the mind can influence everything in our lives.
I would say, speaking about being prepared, and I know that there is so many things that we can do to be prepared, and I know some tough economic and other times are coming, and it might not be easy. But the number one thing, if you were to just bring it down to one thing, is
and we'll be right back. Okay, keep that thought.
Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now, with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. If you've just made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix, because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has over 85 years of experience exterminating invaders like you. And right now, they're making it easier than ever for homes to be protected by offering a free pest estimate to every caller at 1-800-676-1468. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. This is your eviction notice. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, think again. Terminix will protect that home with a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, so you can never return. Warning, homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate at 1-800-676-1468. 1-800-676-1468.
Limitations apply. See plan for details.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the highest quality body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. Why would you go anywhere else? KD offers rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. And now introducing trauma pads. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free water filter for a limited time with any body armor package. Go to KDArmor.com. That's CATI armor.com. Come and take it.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
And it's Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin back with you for the rest of this in the next hour. And Sergey, you were about to say?
Yes, we're talking about preparedness. Now, what is the one thing, the one key essential component of preparedness, whatever it is? The mind. It's the mind and how it's not what happens, it's basically how you address it. And there was a saying that 90% of any outcome is not the situation, it's the approach. And I'm sure, Norm, you have something to say about that.
Well, that's true. For instance, when I have a patient who has high blood pressure in the office, I can spend a maximum of 3 minutes doing autogenic training. And this is somebody who's never done it before. And within 3 minutes, in over 90% of people, the blood pressure will come down significantly, often to normal. And so that just shows you the power of focusing the attention on pleasant, good things rather than focusing on anxiety and fear.
And speaking of, we started mentioning about doing a study for blood pressure and what would happen with using the crushed sapphire pouch. In my mind, the connection is very direct and very clear. If you're talking about any, as I'm going to actually extend it further, but in my mind, if you're thinking about any significant chronic medical illness, there is a direct link of any chronic medical illness to anxiety, to depression, and we have already demonstrated that anxiety and depression can be relieved to a great degree beyond anything that antidepressants, and those are, and I know you and I have very strong opinions on antidepressants.
Well, as a matter of fact, I consider antidepressants one of the worst groups of drugs in the world. They literally don't work. They may help somewhat, but they don't work.
Yep, there's an expression that I hear you say often, bend psychiatry, not guns.
Exactly. And, I agree. And psychiatrists who only prescribe drugs should be put out of existence. They are a bane of the world.
Yeah. So in that regard, in my mind, it's almost a no-brainer, or basically it's a direct, straightforward reasoning link, I should say, or conclusion that the crushed sapphire will not only help the depression or anxiety, as we demonstrated, but it will help in so many other things, including blood pressure, and probably and possibly, I can't say until we first do the studies, but other chronic medical illnesses, diabetes, cholesterol, thyroid, I mean, you name it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's true. Health is normal. One of my favorite quotes is from an article, Responsibility of the Individual, written by Dr. John Knowles back in the late 70s. He said 99% of people are born healthy and become unhealthy because of human misbehavior. Now, that human misbehavior is the habits that people have that come because of their anxiety or depression. So it's that convoluted, everything is related to everything, and health is the end result, and you cannot afford the luxury of not thinking straight, healthy thoughts. So the number one thing for preparedness and everything else in life is an attitude that I am okay, I'm doing what I can, I'm going to take myself so I can take care of other people.
You know, another thing that I'm going to share, and this is very, very personal and very deep, but I will share this with you, Norm, and with our listeners, is that...
and we'll have to share this. It looks as if, Sergey, we'll have to share this in the next hour. We'll be right back with you after the top of the hour news.
Perfect, yeah.
How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit guns80.com, guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
And it is Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin with you for the rest of this hour. And we're happy to have you join if you want to ask a question related to anything, because remember, everything is related to your health. Not just being prepared, but everything in your life is related to health. So, Sergey, you were just about to endure another thought.
Yes, actually, since we were talking about the physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, I'd like to relate a very personal story of my own. Around 2007, I experienced stage 3 colon cancer, and that was a difficult thing to digest at the time, but and many people...
Sergey, you're breaking up really bad. We can hardly understand you. Dr. Shealy, can you take over, and I'm going to call him back?
I can't hear a word that he's saying.
Hello.
So the volume control does seem to be the biggest problem. Is can we get prepared for volume control?
No, that's important.
I have to say, there's only one thing we can do when we are encountering a situation. If you can change it safely, reasonably, change it. If you cannot change it, then the number one thing you need to do is detach. I mean, basically, I hope that under whatever circumstance it might come, if I am in a situation where I know I'm about to be killed by whatever it is, I'd like to just take a deep breath and detach and let it go, because I don't fear death. I fear fear more than I fear death. And if I had a tiger coming at me and I couldn't get away, I hope I could just take a deep breath and detach and let it happen. And so, obviously, if things get as bad as some people predict, then recycling, if you will, is, in my opinion, the most important thing we could possibly do. On the other hand, if we can do something about it, we want to do something about it. And that is, of course, one of the reasons that I think probably the single most important part of our entire Constitution is that Second Amendment. Because in my belief system, the most stupid thing in the world is for the government to ban guns from ordinary people so that the criminals can be the only ones who carry them. And that's what's happened in all of the countries, and I might even add in the cities in this country, where guns are banned. It is beyond stupid. It is evil for the government to try to ban guns. Now, obviously crazy people shouldn't have access to them if they have been identified. But waiting for our government to identify them is not a reason for us not to have them. And I don't talk very often about guns, but I do have a good triple gauge, 12 gauge shotgun and a very nice little pistol with a wonderful little laser beam on it. And I think every home should have at least one armed defense. That may be important more than even water, because somebody could be coming in to steal your water, among other things, and you want to be able to protect it in case of difficulty.
All right,
What?
Sergey is back, and he's faded up.
Oh, good. Okay, Sergey, go for it.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to interrupt what you were talking about now. I mean, I was out for a couple of minutes, but if you want me to jump right back in, I'll be more than happy to do so.
Yeah, please go ahead. I thought I knew where you were going, but I'd like you to see,
Well, in short, what I want to mention is just the concept of paradigm changes and how the perspectives can shift everything. Speaking about how everything is related to everything. So up until 2007, I was living what you would call a highly successful American dream. I came up from the former Soviet Union and came up from basically what you would call poverty and having nothing to having a house, a marriage. I was married to a beautiful woman. I had several cars, a nice, a house with a swimming pool, and I was working, as a physician already at the time and secured income. But around 2007, I was diagnosed with colon cancer stage 3, and that's when everything got turned upside down. And that's when I also discovered that, speaking of paradigm changes, material and physical is absolutely not the key to life. My previous assessment of myself was that of a physical being with plus or minus maybe some spiritual aspect, but I had really no idea. I mean, I heard of meditation, I heard of balance, I heard of spiritual people, but it wasn't me. And there I was all of a sudden faced with death. And what happened afterwards, thereafter, was several other situations that really put everything on the line. And coming through this is, in the shamanic culture, what you would call concept of little death, where your ego or your understanding of who you are or your limitations of who you are disappears and dissolves because you are threatened with losing it all, and you literally do lose it all. Now, coming back to my second life, what I realized is that I had the whole thing wrong. I mean, it's okay to have an American dream, but the more important thing is I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience, and not a physical being having a spiritual experience, and that made all the difference in the world.
I've never asked you this. I know your story, and by the way, I phenomenally admire how a great, healthy person you are now. But looking back on the development of that colon cancer, what do you think were the psychological deficiencies, if you will, that made you vulnerable to that?
Interesting you should say that. I was, even though I was in a marriage that was considered typical and standard, so to speak, we were both extremely unhappy at the time. My wife at the time, and again, she was a beautiful human being, but between us, we had a lot of tension. There was a lot of problems and a lot of anger, a lot of, many negative emotions and frustrations. And interestingly enough, I do believe it's the emotional state. And by the way, the emotional state is connected highly to the neurochemicals, is connected to the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, is connected to hormones, to health, to endocrine system. So I have to immune system, which regulates cancers or controls cancers from happening. And interestingly enough, I mean, all of those were out of whack. I mean, in retrospect, and it's a no-brainer to me now, but I just did not see that at the time. Now, the interesting thing is, after this experience and after the divorce, and it was a terrible divorce on both of us, actually, I was able to let it go. I dropped the entire thing, and then I just entered my second life, so to speak. Now, from what I understood, the young lady that I was married to, she was not able to let it go, and short term later, she actually passed away within a couple of years of pancreatic cancer, which was nothing, it wasn't anything to do with her family history or anything like that. So you just have to wonder. I don't have any direct clinical evidence that emotional states cause cancer and other so-called hard diagnosed illnesses, but I will tell you that my feeling is very strongly associated with, there's a connection between them, and there's no question in my mind.
Well, of course, Hans Isaac showed that 75% of the people who died of cancer had long-standing depression, and 15% had long-standing anger, and 9% had both. So 99% of the people who died of cancer had severe anger, depression, or both. Now, I'm going, if I may, and you can always tell me I'm getting too personal, but you obviously, how long had you been married?
At that time, it was about 5 years.
Now, at what length of time into your marriage did you become unhappy?
It was something that we both rushed into without thinking adequately about it, so without making the right decision, so to speak. So we realized that it wasn't the right thing in retrospect again, quite early on, within a couple of months, but we just...
that's what I was waiting for. I have had people tell me, I ask people frequently about this when there's a psychological unsolved problem that involved marriage. At what point in your marriage did you realize it was the wrong thing? And I've had people tell me walking down the aisle. So if here is not just being prepared for but being prepared for life in general, here's perhaps the most important information we can give you today. If you find yourself in a situation, a conflict situation, with a family member or a co-worker, you need to do something about it. Don't let it fester. Don't allow it to dig into your mind and body and make you potentially critically ill, because you need to solve it or get out of it. You have only 3 solutions to any problem. You can fight back, you can divorce with joy, or you go for sainthood. And going for sainthood is accepting and forgiving those things you cannot choose. Back to my favorite word, detach.
Detachment has become my favorite word too. And it doesn't, and I just want to clarify, to be detached, it does not mean not caring. It just means you're okay with whatever happens and you are making the best decisions.
Exactly. And we'll be right back.
Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Bar Justice is responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisements. Service may not be available in all states.
Attention. This is an important message for anyone who had an IVC filter implanted to prevent blood clots from traveling to their heart or lungs. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. If you or a loved one has had an IVC filter implanted, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Call the IVC Filter Justice now at 800-870-7899. IVC filters have been known to fracture and cause tearing of the heart, lungs, or vena cava, internal bleeding, pulmonary embolism, and even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you at no charge. You pay no fees unless your case is settled. But hurry, time is limited to make a claim, so call now for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one has had an IVC filter implanted, call IVC Filter Justice now at 800-870-7899. 800-870-7899. That's 800-870-7899.
Attention USA Prepares listeners. When you're on the road or have limited data or Wi-Fi, now you can listen to USA Prepares Unfiltered and Untapped at no extra charge on this non-federal phone number, 1-605-477-3249. Try it now to listen to USA Prepares 24/7 at no extra cost or data charges. These are not on federal lines. These are lines located on Indian reservations off the grid. Call 1-605-477-3249. No smartphones or internet needed. To hear USA Prepares Untapped and off the grid, just call 1-605-477-3249.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-941-5257. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-941-5257. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-941-5257. That's 1-800-941-5257.
Think body armor is just for commandos? Think again. In a collapse situation, you need to protect your entire family. Infidel Body Armor has created lightweight armor that repels AR-15 and AK-47 rounds. And priced at around $500, it won't break the bank. The whole kit weighs just 10 pounds, light enough for your 7-year-old or 70-year-old. Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com and get yours today. That's InfidelBodyArmor.com. Just won't quit.
And it is Dr. Norma Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin with you for the rest of the hour. And we're focusing on the most important thing of everything in your life, especially your health, being prepared. And the number one issue is mental preparedness. And it affects everything. So, Sergey?
Yes. Last time we spoke, please remind me of the last strand, so to speak, that we were following, or we can just jump to another strand, I suppose. But let's just go to the. Yeah. We were talking about detachment. Yes, detachment, and detachment. Just to kind of bring back the concept is, from what I've learned, with Norm, is detachment is not lack of caring. Detachment, I mean, you can still love what you do. You can still care about what you do and the people in your life. It just means you're not taking it personally. You're not internalizing. You're not taking all that negative, toxic energy that comes with with stressors. And it's not what happens with a stressor. It's how you respond to it. And it's just it's a question of what you do with that. And the happiest, healthiest people are not the ones that are not the ones without any challenges. They're the ones who handle the challenges the best, or in the most efficient ways. It is your attitude towards everything. Now, I have one friend, and thank God it's not Sergey, who is so politically opposite to me that actually, instead of getting upset over it, I laugh about it. I mean, I am a libertarian. I don't really, I don't like Republicans, and I certainly have an intense dislike of the left wing. And she sent me one this morning. America and Britain are having a contest to see which one can F up the most. Great Britain is ahead, but America can certainly trump them. Now, she is attacking Trump. So my response to her was America and Britain are having a contest to see
which one can F up the most. Great Britain is ahead, but America can go down Hillary faster.
Norm, now remind me, you were planning to vote for Hillary, right? Just kidding.
Right.
Now, you see, this is a time for detachment, because that could be a moment of intense emotion right there for Norm, I would imagine, right?
Well, it would. In fact, in my opinion, if Hillary wins, the country's dead forever. And I honestly believe we'll have a second civil war if that happens.
But you see, I'm so glad that you're able to detach so easily. I mean, and that's, Norm, that's the amazing thing about you. Because how long have you been practicing detachment now? For 3 decades, 4 decades, or when did you pick that up?
44 years.
You're pretty good at this.
Well, it does take time to set that stage. But the point is, I can't change this friend of mine who is left-wing, and she has other good personal traits, and, I enjoy everything except her political politics, and so I just make fun of it. Now, you can't always make fun, if there's a volcano erupting near you, but you can detach. And again, if I was caught in the middle of a lava flow, my current personal hope is I would just take a deep breath and lie down and go, rather than dying in panic. Because I think dying in panic it couldn't be as important as dying peacefully. Now, not that I'm focusing on death, because frankly, I don't. When I was 4 years old, my grandmother came in one day remonstrating me for something I was doing. And I said, Grandma, don't worry. If you're going to die, you're going to die. And I think I can say truthfully, in this life, I have never worried about death.
I will second that notion with you. Now, of course, mine came after my experience with colon cancer in 2007. But, at some point, I'll say this, and, thereafter, I was driving home from emergency room, and it was 24-hour shift. Anyway, long story short, I'm generally a good driver, but I'll come back to the story.
Driver after the break.
Yeah.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
DarkCityDefense.com was born in Black Mountain, at the foot of the Black Mountain Range in North Carolina. From the Dark City, as it's affectionately been named, we've built an online firearms pro store that boasts a vast range of firearms, optics, and outdoor supplies. With aggressively low everyday pricing and a free gift pack with every firearms purchase, DarkCityDefense.com is committed to Tier 1 customer service and overcoming darkness by turning on the light of liberty. Find the light in our logo and find out more at DarkCityDefense.com.
Do you or someone you know suffer from chest pain, blood pressure, cholesterol, or irregular heartbeat? Are you looking for a more natural solution to overcome these health challenges? You hear the ads all the time. If this stuff's so good, why doesn't my doctor prescribe it? That's easy. There's more money in treating symptoms. Extendivite Heart Tonic does want you to be as healthy as you can be, and it really works. Take Extendivite for 6 months and your doctor will say, I don't know what you're doing, but don't stop, it's working for you. Get the dependability of Extendivite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822, that's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Bar Justice is responsible for the content of this ad. Attention, all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson baby powder was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by two juries to two women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using the talcum baby powder product. Multiple studies show that women who have long-term use of talcum powder in products such as baby powder for feminine hygiene can increase the risk of contracting ovarian cancer. If you or a family member have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Baby Powder Alert today. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless you receive a settlement. So if you or a loved one used talcum baby powder products before being diagnosed with or died from ovarian cancer, make this important free call today. Call 1-800-588-7342. 1-800-588-7342.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
And it's Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin sitting in today, and we have been discussing for these 2 hours the most important thing in the world, which is your attitude, because it is going to get you through or not through whatever happens. Keep going, Sergey.
Yes, so speaking of the power of detachment and the power of just letting go and going with the flow, so to speak, and what it can do for you. Sometime later, after after I had my experience with colon cancer, and at that point, I actually became all right with the concept of life and death, and just making the best of what it is that you can do, and. So I was in a car accident. I was working 24-hour shift, and then I was driving for several hours. I thought I was invincible. Really taught me the value of good sleep. And I know Norm talks about sleep, and not just for acute emergencies, but for many reasons. But this is an example of an acute emergency. So I ended up, with the front of my car hugging a electric pole at about 70 miles an hour. The dashboard was sitting literally in my chest. One of my wrists was shattered entirely. No pulse, no circulation. Smoke coming out of into the interior compartment, and it was But interestingly enough, after the initial. I wouldn't say the word out too loud on the radio, but it was like, okay, now this is curious, isn't it? Anyway, so tried to go through my options, and everything. There was no door handle to open the door, no way to get out of the vehicle at the time, and it was either going to be bleeding out for internally in my mind at the time, or or basically blow up in whatever the car was doing at the time. And I was, interestingly enough, it was I can say that I actually welcomed the opportunity. It wasn't that I wanted to die, but I was curious. Hey, what's next? And and which way? And I was literally wondering which way was going to be. I was betting like maybe 40% chance of bleeding and 60% of explosion. Well, explosion would be the easier one too. Anyway, the interesting thing is when they did come through to the door and they managed to break through, get the door open. It's the first question was, do you need some help? And my first response was, literally, I remember this. Well, we might want to consider that. Anyhow, it really was turned into an interesting experience. But again, the power of detachment. And I imagine what would happen if I panicked. I mean,
you probably wouldn't be here. I mean, because true panic, especially when you're already injured, be a problem. Way back in 1971, I did something stupid. I tried to get on a Greenbrook horse, and I didn't exercise him. I put one foot in the left stirrup, and I'm on the ground on the other side with a fractured hip. Now, I accepted it, and 2 weeks after the fracture was fixed, I'm back in the operating room. And at 6 weeks, it's totally healed, and I asked the orthopedist, when can I play racquetball again? And he said, 6 months. Well, the next day I was playing racquetball again. I mean, because I knew my body enough to know it was safe for me to go ahead and do it. Now, the important thing is to know yourself psychologically, emotionally, physically, and spiritually enough that you can make these decisions. All of this is part of developing. It's self-regulation, developing your relationship with your physical, mental, emotional body as well as your real self, which is the soul. And so, again, it requires not only detachment, but lack of judgment. Now, I'm not saying you should never judge anything, because judgment sometimes can be critical as well. But when you know that it's not your responsibility. So let's go back to my friend who is the left-winger. I don't judge her as being evil or that she's going to fail in some way. I choose to feel that, well, she has her way and I have my way, and fortunately they don't collide, and I can choose to be amused rather than annoyed by her obstinate left-wing behavior. And that's the way I look at it, even though, again, back in the current situation, even though I have an absolute, as strong as one can, feeling that there is no circumstance in which I could vote for Hillary, I'd write in somebody rather than I would vote for her. I wouldn't abstain. But I'm not, emotionally, it doesn't get me. I am not going to waste my life energy being angry, agitated, fighting in a contest where I can't win. I mean, the same is true. Nuclear energy, in my opinion, is by far the most stupid thing that humanity has ever done. Now, that's a judgment, but for me, it's a scientific judgment, because we don't know how to control the waste product. And it is unbelievably dangerous, and I don't think we should be making energy out of it. On the other hand, I'm not going to agitate. I'm not going to get my adrenaline up fighting over nuclear energy, because I don't think it would do me or the situation any good. That's the place where you detach. And when you can truly detach, you are at peace. So detachment is not just ignoring. It is not being upset over or, sullen or anything. It is truly at peace, as if it's somewhere in the distance and it's not my responsibility.
But at the same time, I've noticed that when you get yourself in that state, you actually figure so many more options that you wouldn't have available to you if you came at it with a strongly charged emotional response.
You're right. Now, I do want to let people know I don't think I'm perfect. I can get annoyed.
Well, you are, in a way, yeah.
And when I get annoyed, I speak up. And once I've spoken up, I'm done. I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to carry on an hour-long debate or irritation about it. Okay, I've said what I can say. That's it. Bye-bye. Again, this is attitude. Now, I have addressed the most important attitude other than being prepared and knowing how to detach. But my attitude also has been, there's certain things that I know scientifically, experientially, from all that I've studied for 83 years and observed, that are critical for me to stay healthy. At the top of that list for me is having a normal weight. My body mass index is actually a little over 21. And the healthy body mass index is 18 to 24. The truly, seriously unhealthy body mass index is 30 and above. And I don't know what I would do if my body mass index got up to 25. I know I would increase my exercise and I would eat less. The second one is smoking. Now, interestingly, my dear father, who was wonderful, had a habit of smoking. He'd gotten into it when he was 10 years of age. And other than that, I know of no what I would consider personality flaws. He was a wonderful, supportive father. But he was wise enough when I was 16 to offer me $1,000 if I would not smoke or drink till I was 21. Well, he couldn't have offered me $1 billion to smoke or drink before 21. And of course, he did come through when I got to that state. And I've never smoked, and there is no circumstance under which I would. And there's no circumstance under which I personally would use marijuana. And the reason is I don't trust anything that can damage my mind. It's that simple. And I believe marijuana does damage the mind of many people. And then, whether I like it or not, and it's not a question of craving one way or the other, but I choose to eat 7 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Now, I have to admit, I choose primarily fruits. Let's say out of that 7 or 8, I would say at least 4 are fruits because I prefer them. And since I don't have a problem with weight and blood sugar, I can do that. But I would not go. I will not eat a meal, a bite, in a McDonald's or any other fast food restaurant. I'd rather starve than eat there. Now that to me is just common sense judgment of what happens in a fast food restaurant. And finally, well, not quite finally, because there are 2 others that are so critical that are critical for your health and well-being and longevity. Finally, exercise. The minimum is 30 minutes 5 days a week. To me, that's almost like breathing. If you don't move 30 minutes 5 days a week, you're in trouble. I happen to like to move. And it doesn't matter how I move, but I do 90 minutes of physical exercise 7 days a week. Except when I travel, I might only do 60 minutes. But that is a critical part of health. Sitting on a couch, to me, is boring, if nothing else. I don't know, because I just don't do it. And then finally, is sleep. I do, well, I get a minimum of 7 and almost every night, 8 hours of sleep all the time, because that is what's healthy. It's what I know I need, and I do it. I mean, like, I've had visitors recently, and I got to bed as late as 9:30 instead of 9. But I still get up at 5, or sometimes 4:30. So I get a minimum of 7 and 8 hours every night of my life. it's important. To me, this is my attitude is, I don't do this because I have to. I do it
Norm, I think it's we're coming up.
It feels good, and we'll be right back.
Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now, with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507, 800-478-1507, 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Attention backpackers, on a budget. Why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viva Water Pump Kit from Viva Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viva Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99, filter not included. Get your Viva Water Pump Kit at VIBA-ODP.com from Viva Outdoor Products.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
And it is Dr. Norma Shealy and Dr. Sergey Sorin with you today. And we have spent this couple of hours talking about the single most important thing in your life, about everything. Being prepared for life in general and being prepared for day-to-day activity. And it is your attitude. And Sergey, you had a final few things to say.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to kind of piggyback on what you mentioned about the 5 habits: the weight, the nutrition, the exercise, sleep, and interestingly enough, I'll mention that a little bit of my background before I joined NORM in International Institute of Holistic Medicine and International Institute of Holistic Health. Is that I've been into this concept of wellness and health and mind, body, spirit, ever since my experience with colon cancer in 2007. The interesting thing that I found is, and I've been through quite a few things. I was the founder and owner of the Physician Weight Loss and Wellness Center, where I focused on nutrition and exercise, diet, weight management. I also worked with activity. I was a medical director for a surgical weight loss center, and I've had all kinds of formulas developed that led to successful weight loss, but not many people stayed or kept the weight off. Or not many people stayed with the exercise program, and it's that factor. It's that yo-yo effect. In other words, you get something going and then you give it up. And what I realized after connecting with Norm and what we're doing now is, it's not just the changing. It's not just the giving people the information or supplements, liquids, or things, I should say. Prescriptions to do this and then do that, and this is how many calories you need to have, and this is what kind of food you should eat. It's about redefining the rudimentary, basic relationship with food. It's about redefining the relationship with activity and exercise. For God's sake, you can tell a person who hates to exercise that if you do this, it's going to be helpful to you, and you need to do this many minutes on doing aerobic, this many minutes doing resistance training. Yeah, they may stay with it for a while if they have an acute need or urgent need, but what are the chances of them staying with it? Same with the diet. Let's face it, most of us, we know what we need to do. Most of us know when we goof off. And there is a reason why we keep goofing off. And but when you would redefine that relationship with food, that the food is your ally, it's your support, and you just have to redefine yourself as the healthy individual, as somebody who is optimal, who is in optimal health, optimal wellness, who is heading towards perfection, who is heading towards health, towards balance. And then it becomes really, really easy. And then it's not a challenge even. It just becomes a natural part of who you are. It's not a diet. It becomes nutrition. It's not exercise. It becomes activity. It becomes your lifestyle.
Optimal attitude.
And attitude, yes.
And most important thing in everything in your life is you cannot afford the luxury of anger, guilt, anxiety, or depression. That doesn't mean they may not come up. If they do, what are you going to do about it? What can I do to change this? And if you cannot change it, then you detach and you don't judge anymore. You be at peace with it. That's the attitude. And so the attitude about day to day, moment to moment, minute to minute, and long term, decade to decade is change the things you can, give your energy where you want to put it, and let go, detach from all the things under no circumstance can you change. Thank you, Sergey, and thank you to everybody for listening and adjusting your attitude.
All right, thanks, guys, for filling in today for Vince. Sounds like he'll be back up and running tomorrow.
How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD, and if untreated, could lead to blindness. The good news, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that may reverse some vision loss. For free AMD information, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. There is a cure in sight.